came back to wrestling after the WWE thing, and you were in Impact, Halloween 12, Impact Pro Wrestling, but then AEW comes around, this new promotion, and you make your debut at Double or Nothing like a fucking killer, right? And people lose their minds. How did that come around? People want to know the story. What happened from a call? Who called you? What happened that led you to walk out on that stage on May 28th when that arena fucking erupted for you?
Once you're a wrestler, you're like always a wrestler, and there's nothing like feeling the life pop off the crowd. And I hadn't wrestled, I hadn't slipped on like Kong in over like 3 years. And when, Brandy gave me a call, she and I got to know each other in FCW when she first started getting into wrestling, and when they had sent me down there to like shake off the ring rust before I debuted. We became fast friends, And so after their first All In in Chicago, which I knew nothing about because I haven't been plugged into wrestling. In fact, I just happened to be in Chicago doing the StarCast thing. It was like the first wrestling related event I had been to in years. And like it was like a 2 or 3 day event. And like on the last day, there was hardly anybody like in the hotel. Like nobody's coming past anybody's tables. I'm like, well, where is everybody? And they're like, they're all at that wrestling show. And I'm like, there's a wrestling show? I'm like, well, I should go get my 8x10s and go to this wrestling show and like get a table and like sell it. This is how we think, okay? And I'm thinking, a friend of mine was like, I'll take you. And I'm thinking we're going to pull up to like some VFW hall, some like, Knights of Columbus hall, something like, something intimate like this. And I can like set up in the table over there. And he pulls up to like the Sears Arena in Chicago, and it's like 20,000 seats. And we walk in and the production value is like, yeah. And I'm like, wait, what is going on in wrestling? And the show starts and it's amazing. And I'm like, what is going on in wrestling? And I find out, they tell me the story, about Cody and the Young Bucks. And I'm like, that's freaking awesome. And I'm so happy. So when Brandy calls and says, we're doing it again and we're going to be doing it some more, I'm like, well, I want to do it too. And that's basically how that like came about. She called me about 6-7 months after their show in Chicago. And I'm like, yes, because that looked fun. And that looked like y'all sticking it to a bunch of people. I want to stick it at people too.
Talk about that day. You get to the building. You know that you're going to be a surprise entrant in this Fatal 4-Way match. Talk about that day. You get there. What's the vibe backstage? Do you expect the reaction you're going to get?
No, I mean, I thought, expected it like, yay. I didn't expect like the building to like shake. You were there, like the building like shook. The building like did a shimmy, y'all. It was like insane. But I was like, wow, people, they remember me. Yay. They remember I used to do this, because there are kids nowadays that are alive that weren't like alive when I was like with WWE and TNA and stuff, that, so I didn't know like what to expect, if parents were gonna have like been down and like explain it to them or whatever. But just to hear that roar it was very hard for me to stay in the Kong psyche at that moment.
So I have a couple of last questions. I want to ask you, because it's interesting to me that you talked about, when you were coming up and you're a black female in wrestling and you've got to deal with all these different factors that we don't need to deal with. And now you're out there with Nyla Rose, who is dealing with a lot of fresh factors that people are not comfortable with or know how to deal with. Is that something that you kind of thrive on, of like, I want to work with Nyla and let, help her? Because, she gets some really unwarranted shit online and stuff. Was that something that was part of what you thought, I want to be involved in this and help someone like her?
Yes, because she's actually a very humble and extremely thoughtful person who wants so much to entertain you all and to give you all matches that you want and deserve. And I can identify with, her strife. And a lot of doors were open for me. I had to do the work, but a lot of opportunities were given to me. And I am now in the position to do the same for her if she wants to, like, take me up on that and do the work. I'm finally in a position to do for her what other people did for me, especially since I understand where, her struggles may lie. I mean, Kong, I see Kong as a non-binary character anyhow. So I can understand what her struggles, I won't say I can understand, I can imagine what her struggles may be like.
And do you think that when you guys had that moment at Double or Nothing, and it was very clear, like, they didn't give everything away at that point. There's very clearly an idea that Awesome Kong and Nyla Rose might come together again. After that, do you think that she felt like, thank you for, like, did she seem appreciative that you, as a big star, had come out and sort of like given her the rub in some ways?
I believe so. I believe has said as much in different interviews and things. I just know the experience I had with her was one of, gosh, I want so much for her. Like, I want so much for her. If she wants it, I want to help her get it. She's that kind of person.
And I call him the following year and I say, oh, hey, Brad, how about facing me at WrestleMania? And this poor guy's like, Kurt, I just had a stroke. It was fucking crazy. So I understand why he said no, because I'm at the age. Not just because he had a stroke, and he got kicked in the head and had a concussion.